Hi everyone, it's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the MultiDimensional MD. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here with my friend Dr. Jim Gaydos.
Hi Arlene, it's really great being here.
Who is also an osteopath, and we are finishing up a 5-day introductory course for physicians on cranial osteopathy. And as usual, I want to come here every week and just give you an update on what's going on, the patterns that I'm seeing through the week. And if I see something multiple times, then I feel like there's so many people out there that could benefit from hearing about it. So what we want to do here for you today is to share these amazing insights that we have learned in this week or have seen with the students that they're learning through just learning cranial osteopathy. So one of the first things that I really wanted to share with you is these students are so learning how to trust themselves. And in trusting themselves, they're really getting to see so much more about life, about themselves, about their patients, their people that they're treating and practicing with. And
Well, I think, first of all, backing that up, some of these are residents and some are third-year students, so we have a wide variety. And then as table trainers, I know I'm running into students that have difficulties getting through some of the perceptual blocks.
right, because the things that we're
And
learning.
these were some of the same things that we had. And so, 35 years later, I'm helping students with the same perceptual blocks that I had. And yet it's still a challenge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
And-
guess I thought it was going to be easier.
Well, and what we're talking about, these perceptual blocks, because cranial osteopathy, we're learning how to feel very subtle rhythms in the body. And so it takes a lot of settling down and just being able to ground and tune into yourself. And what's happening is that these students are actually learning more than about just treating. They're learning about themselves. And I feel that's so important for everybody, no matter what you're doing, because it gives you so much clarity. And
It's true, this mechanism that we're working with is so sensitive that there are times that you're using literally your mind to move into a space and that your hands can't feel through. And so you have to project into it with your mind. And if your mind has doubt
right,
or fear or need for a certain outcome, then you find yourself
that's actually a big
stuck.
one. Right.
Yeah.
What you said, a need for a certain outcome, because so much of the time people are looking for a certain thing to happen. And the amazing thing is, this sounds like so counterintuitive, but when they let go of what is going to happen, so no expectation that this thing is going to happen and no expectation that it's not going to happen. It's just letting whatever needs to unfold to just be. And what happens is that it starts to make the healing process much more efficient. It's like when you let go of the need for something to be a certain way, life starts to unfold more the way you want to anyway.
At least if you're in that neutral space within yourself, no matter what comes at you, you find that you can still use it. Whereas if you were really counting on something to happen and it didn't, then you're sunk. You're really sunk. I'm constantly amazed by how many students I run into on the table that if you were to spend the day with them, and I'm only talking about myself now, that I looked at life as a linear order of what I wanted to do with it that day. And I wasn't able to wait if something wasn't coming along the way I thought that it should. And this is sort of like just throwing your line in the water and waiting for a fish. It's a little bit more than that in the terms of setting up the anatomy, understanding the embryology, understanding how something is made, so that therefore how it can express itself. But then just waiting for the result.
That infinite patience.
It seems like it at the time. It might be 2 minutes, but it's a long 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's that infinite patience and what you said, that neutral awareness of yourself. And neutral means like loving and all accepting. And when you're able to do that for yourself, then you're more ready and likely to do that for someone else. So I will kind of talk back to myself too. So if there's anything I'm going through, or if I'm with someone and they're going through a challenging thing, then I'll say to myself, how can I be all accepting and loving of myself in however I feel in this situation? And that complete acceptance helps to ground my experience. And then that's the way I'm able to talk to other people going through a difficult experience and have that same feeling and safe place for them where it's just all loving and all accepting, so that no matter what you're going through, it's okay in a way that you are no less deserving of love and you're no less accepted. You are fully loved and accepted no matter what you're going through.
And the inclusiveness that I can show for others is only matched by the inclusiveness that I have for myself. And that's a long journey in itself too. You know?
It's something you can't fake. It could take a long time, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And it's a moment-to-moment experience as well.
But would you want to live any other way? You know?
That's the process.
You get tired of having the same old thoughts in your mind. And so I kind of divorced myself a couple years ago. I was really tired of what I was calling drama and what I was calling what I needed. And I started trying to think about what my problems were last week. And then I realized that I couldn't remember my problems from last week. And I thought, then why are my problems this week any different? And it just allowed me to let go of much. And then coming here with the students and then having that dump trucked onto you, it was nice to be able to bring them to a moment of stillness within themselves on the table in a way that they could accept themselves from where they were at. But in accepting themselves where they're at, there was no problem, and then they could proceed forward with the lab.
Mm-hmm. And when you said that you divorced yourself from yourself,
maybe a separation.
It's more like, I mean, I see what you mean, but I wanted to clarify. I feel like it's just that understanding that there's that ego self that you can be understanding of going through certain things and like worrying about certain things, but then also having that understanding and ability to see your true self. That's that light that's always in you, so that even though your ego self is going through so many things and those problems that, I mean, everybody has things in their life, that you still have that light of your true self that's guiding you.
I think I was into the drama of my problems.
Well, that's easy to happen.
Kind of make the TED Talk every day for what's going wrong. And being able to see that I wasn't getting anywhere with that. I was kind of stuck in a swamp and I had no known way out, and I knew that I wanted to be much more free. And there's still more to go, of course, but I just, I'm grateful to have run into you because I didn't know who you, well, I knew who you were, but I don't think we'd ever talked. And I'm just grateful that I was able to speak with you about some of these issues with our students at the table, because you can't do that with just everybody at the course. I mean, of course, they're all different types of people, and they're all coming from different angles on events that happen. But it was just really nice to connect with you on.
And this is the kind of stuff that we connected on. So it's at a very human and soul level. So it's something that everyone is really craving and wanting to be able to connect, especially in these times that are so difficult. And just thinking about that theme of like trusting yourself. One thing that I was talking to the students about over and over again is that trusting and that infinite patience. It's a balance between being overconfident, so that kind of more cocky kind of confidence, and then not confident or underconfident, so that you could balance right in between, where it's like this trust in the self kind of confidence that no matter what happens, it's okay. Because if you love yourself fully, accept yourself fully, it's truly okay no matter what happens. And that's how it can be for anyone, any loved one, anyone you interact with, because so many of our interactions, they feel like they're by chance, but they're not by chance. And then so Jim and I getting together here, this is by chance, but it's not by chance. And being able to talk about this topic too, of just being able to trust yourself. And when people ask, how are we able to do what we do in terms of osteopathy and cranial osteopathy, this is a big reason why, is to dig deep within, trust in yourself, trust in something greater that's guiding you. It's just that universal oneness that we're all a part of, and knowing that whoever you interact with is also a part of that. And so you get to be in that space, and the more you just sort of let yourself breathe and live that and feel that in your vibration, then you start to be able to kind of surf through the waves of life.
It's a good word. Well, when I mentioned that I had divorced myself, going back to that part, I think really what I meant to say was that I wanted to be happy. And I had bought a car 15 years ago, and they give you that Oprah XM radio with Oprah station on it. And she was talking to a woman who simply said that she said 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week, she was just being invited by herself to whatever she was doing and just consciously realize how much she liked it. And it started to then gain momentum in her, because she was practicing now, instead of resisting things, she started to practice liking them. And it was things like she was maybe watching television or doing the dishes, or it wasn't even as heavy as taking the dog for a walk, but she realized that she loved it, and she started to look back on her life and think of all the things that she didn't celebrate loving when she was doing them, and that this was the time to start. So I began to practice about that rather than practice worrying. So I will practice just always feeling like I'm losing, or practice feeling like I'm not enough, or practice feeling jealous of something that I don't feel I have. And instead I just started to enjoy what I was doing, because I was enjoying it, but I was resisting it the whole time. And then just simple things. And I feel that, I'm definitely not a black belt in that art yet, but
Yeah.
The practice is
That's
so
such a great
indispensable.
practice.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. It's just like if you can align like your will with whatever you're doing at the moment, even if you feel like you have to do it, it's like somehow seeing some sort of joy in whatever you're doing, even mundane things.
Especially mundane things.
Mm-hmm.
I just found it easier
Mm-hmm.
to get my heart glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that wasn't happening, I was, first of all, missing that world.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it did start to glow more frequently, I found myself just in love with something, but I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I couldn't put my
Mm-hmm.
finger on what it was that I was in love with. And I realized that if I did come into a problem, initially, I think it was escape. And I would escape into that feeling of love. But then it came to a place of where I realized if I just stayed in that moment and just enjoyed what I
Mm-hmm.
was going through, that it would turn, or in the quiet mind of that person who's not feeling any suffering in that moment, to see an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
in that previously self-diagnosed, downfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't at all. And so
Yeah.
it was,
What?
and then bringing all this to the tables, because you meet so many different people.
What you said about like enjoying or appreciating just especially the mundane, it reminds me of just like how I felt after my dad had passed, because it's all of those precious small moments that you really miss. And it's not all about like the biggest moments, but it's like all the little ones in between that really mean the most.
Yes.
So I think about that when it's like when I say like have that joy or find some sort of joy in whatever you're doing, even if it's that small thing, because it's that string of small moments through your life that are really all those precious moments. And I can think of so many, even just day by day through the course, like there's too many to even mention, but just every interaction that we've had with each student, with each of the faculty members, how much love that everybody brings to this kind of thing. And none of this, again, it feels like by chance, but we're all together for some reason. Even if it's a brief interaction, there's a reason for it, because we're all part of that oneness. And we just wanted to share some of that with you today. And these insights, they feel like little insights, but they're really big insights. And that's what the students like are learning. They think they're coming to learn about anatomy and physiology and how to put your hands in certain positions around the body to do the treatment. But the biggest lessons that I'm seeing people really take home and carry in their hearts is this. It's like, I can trust myself. I can love myself. And when I do, it's such a feel-good way to be for me, and that ripple effect for everyone around you.
Yes. You put your hands on someone, and it seems like work to wait, and you're worried about the outcome. And then the more you sit there with it, the more you realize that you're shining in the same love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won't say that the same love I was doing when you're doing the dishes.
Well,
but I mean, it is an acceptance, and it's been a really growing experience for me.
It's like a loving meditation all day long.
Yeah, that's what it is, because it's really intense. It's really intense. Yeah, we have 2 tables that we're monitoring. So there's 4 people. There's the person on the table who's experiencing, the person who is putting their hands on them. And it's been incredible to work with all these different people. And you're finding yourself having to work with all these different parts of yourself and all these different past lessons that you had, that because you resisted them, you weren't living. And you realized you just were I was going through the motions of life and realizing, like we said when you're dad, but how many osteopaths have died where you say, gosh, I wish I could have celebrated just being with them and joy when they were here.
Right. It's so quick. It's
yeah, and I would say, well, I was young back then, but the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago, but the second best time is now. So at least I thought I'll start planting the tree of joyous living and acceptance now, because it's not too late.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
Never too late. So that's what we wanted to share with you today.
And I want to invite everyone to come to my website, because I'm in Walnut Creek, California.
Sure.
And I don't know where you are, but cranialosteopathic.com. And come read some of the stories that I put on my website and how I've kind of grown into this osteopathic thing that we do.
All the cranial osteopaths I know just have so many wonderful stories to share. So I encourage you to read some of those. And as always, please like or subscribe, leave a comment, let me know where you're listening from. I never know who's out there unless you tell me, and I love to hear from you always. You can also find me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook at All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and my website, allworldshealth.com. So thank you so much for joining me. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the MultiDimensional MD, here with Dr. Jim Gaydos.
Dr. Arlene, thank you so much. This was really
Thank
wonderful.
You. He came at the last minute at the end of our 13-hour day, and I said, hey, Jim, I got to record for my podcast. Do you want to come share what's been going on with the week? So he's been a great sport, and really appreciate that.
Wow.
Going with the flow. And lots of love to all of you. Have a beautiful week. I will see you next Wednesday, 11 a.m. EST, for another episode of the MultiDimensional MD.